involve the entire crew. So I do think that we're going to have plenty of time with the rest of the characters. Oh my gosh, Elo, do we need to take a little break?
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. For our first question, Ormappa asks what we think the story of Jedi Survivor will be and if the Zeffo will appear again, and Elliot Finn wants to know how we plan to cover it along with The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch.
Oh god. And Battle Scars comes out a couple weeks before it, and Star Wars Celebration happens a few weeks after it. It's going to be a lot, for sure. We'll start with that, I guess, because I already dove in.
Okay.
But yeah, just, I don't know, panic, general panic, and cold sweats.
Yeah.
I think.
A lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to handle that.
It's such a good problem to have. I said this in the trailer breakdown, but just like, there's too much Star Wars. So it's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan, but if you are committed to covering all of it, you're like, ah.
Yeah. Well, it would be a little bit better, I think, if they had moved the Bad Batch to a different day, but I also enjoy having my Fridays again. But both of those shows are dropping on the same day. Plus, we have a video game to play and a book to read, so I don't know.
Well, the book will be done with that before the game comes out. It's weird, like Bad Batch was supposed to come out spring of this year, and they just kept on pushing it. Then it was going to be the fall, and now it's January, so I don't think they planned for this much content to be happening at this point in time, but here we are. So I think the plan is Wednesdays are going to be the Mandalorian days when it's out. We'll do... Oh man, Hilo is just making noise. Yeah, I see you. Wednesdays are going to be the Bad Batch until the Mandalorian starts, and that'll be the Mandalorian day. And we'll do Bad Batch on Thursday. And then...
We're going to kind of combine Bad Batch and Lego streams.
Probably,
for our Thursdays.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be working on the Razor Crest for a while.
Right. Yeah, we got the Razor Crest. So when we bring back Lego streams at the beginning of the year, we will be doing the Razor Crest, and we'll just have a talk amongst ourselves. We'll do the Clone Zone together with you, and we'll build the Razor Crest. But I don't know that we can handle scheduling 2 after shows with guests and everything. So we're just going to have that focused with the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. And for the game, I'm probably going to play it first on my own, just to experience for myself. And, well, I don't know. I mean, you can play it with me if you want.
That's fine.
I figured we would just do the same thing we did with Fallen Order, where I play it and then maybe we stream it, you stream it. Mm-hmm. And then at some point I will try to do a Grandmaster playthrough and really torture myself again.
That works for me because I'm going to need to know what to do.
That's true.
I don't really love experiencing new things in video games. I want to know exactly what I have to do.
Yeah, you very quickly are just like, tell me what to do. And I'm over here like, cheating.
It's not cheating.
Explore. Part of the game is exploration.
I could just get a walkthrough, but you're my walkthrough.
Yeah, I'll be your walkthrough. I'll be your little BD droid again. But yeah, that's the plan for coverage. So now we can talk about the actual trailer, the story, I guess. We don't know much about the story right now. The newest trailer was more focused on the gameplay. So yeah, I'm not sure what to think of the story right now.
I'm not either. Hilo is like stepping on every possible piece of trash. Yeah, we got mostly gameplay. We got a lot of like voiceover stuff in the trailer. Still don't know who the guy in the tank of water is.
I'm glad he's a new character. Everyone was like, is it Jorah Sabaoth? I'm like, no, it's gonna be a new character.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah. I just want to know where everybody else is. Where's Marin?
Yeah.
Is she safe? Is she all right?
Where's Grease? Where's the crew? We did see a couple other characters.
We saw Seer.
Yeah.
I do think that the rest of the crew will be in it. That's kind of me, like, they better be in it. I'm hopeful that they're going to be in it. Because the first game is about building your found family. If they're just gone now, that would be weird. But interviews have talked about the entire crew. The Battle Scars book is going to involve. So I do think that we're going to have plenty of time with the rest of the characters. Oh my gosh, Elo, do we need to take a little break? Okay, he lied down. I do think the rest of the crew is going to be in it. Marin, I have a theory, and I'm kind of grasping at straws just because I want her in the trailer and I want confirmation that she's there. But we see Cal sparring with someone else. They're a masked figure. They're both using lightsabers, but one of them is blue and one of them is yellow. They are both Cal's hilt, though. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, maybe they are trading knowledge. Maybe he's training her in the Force. She's teaching him about magic, something along those lines. I think that would be cool.
I would love that. That's like, I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but that's like the number one thing that I want is to play as her, use Night Sister magic, give her a lightsaber, sure, why not?
I don't think we're gonna get to play as her. I'm just tempering expectations. I had the same thought because we were trying to figure out, this is going to be a Metroidvania style game. How do we make it different, expand on the abilities and stuff? And, using Night Sister magic would be something no Star Wars game has ever done before. So I thought that would be a really cool idea. I think that Marin will be like an ally. We saw in the trailer this new character that was kind of fighting alongside Cal. I think that maybe, again, I think we'll get different allies in different areas. And Marin already did that on Dathomir for us during the Malicos fight. She shoots Night Sister magic at him. So she could wander around with us and actually, kind of like Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us, like she would wander around with us and help us out. I think that would be a good compromise.
Yeah, but I don't think she's going to teach Cal how to use Night Sister magic, because that wouldn't make sense.
Probably not, no. I don't know. Like, I like the idea of them trading knowledge. I do not think we're going to be using Night Sister magic in the game. As for the Zeffo, the final part of this question, we've spent a lot of time on this one, but I don't know. I don't think the Zeffo are going to be in this.
They weren't really in the first one all that much. I mean, they were talked about, but like in such a roundabout way, and in the end, did they even really matter that much? Like, I find them really interesting, but I don't know how they're going to come into the story even more than they did in the first one. Yeah,
I think that this was my speculation, was that maybe they would go and leave the known galaxy to investigate the Zeffo more. That was something that I thought of, and I think that's because I tend to want the Jedi characters who aren't Luke Skywalker to not be involved in the rest of the story. Like, why didn't we see them in the original trilogy, blah, blah, blah. So my thought was, okay, they leave and they go into the unknown regions and they look for more Zeffo. They keep going down that road. And I guess part of it was because I like the tomb raiding aspect of it, like the Uncharted games. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe that's where I got that speculation from, those hopes from. But no, the trailer, from what we've seen, I think it's going to be even more involved in the known galaxy. I mean, I think we're going to Coruscant, which I'm also very happy about. Mm-hmm. I love Fallen Order, but every single level was just wilderness and abandoned towns and stuff. So going to Coruscant sounds awesome.
Maybe we'll see Seer doing some kind of research about the Zeffo.
That's true. We don't know what she's doing.
It seemed like she was in almost like an archival area. So maybe she's working on her own little side project.
I think that could make some sense, following in her master's footsteps. So maybe they'll be lightly touched upon, but I think that they were kind of more of a cautionary tale in Fallen Order. And I don't know that we necessarily have to follow up on them now.
Garth McMurray asks which series we think we will first see Thrawn in, and who do we want to play him?
I think that we're going to see Thrawn this year, live action Thrawn. Yeah. I think it's going to happen.
I'm going to throw out my wild theory that I think we'll see him in Mando Season 3 first.
I think that makes sense. If we don't, I think Ahsoka is the next logical point, because her story, if they're involving Star Wars Rebels and the search for Ezra, that very strongly connects back to Thrawn. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like he has already come back to the known galaxy, is working with Morgan Elsbeth in The Mandalorian Season 2. So I think that with the name drop in Mando Season 2, it makes sense to give him like the post-credits scene in Mando season 3 or something.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have a particularly large role in Mando season 3, like storyline wise, but I think they will drop a cameo, maybe at the very end, just to be like, hey everyone, here's live action Thrawn, he's gonna be in this other show. So it's like, in the Mandoverse, they keep dropping little bits of future projects to get people hyped.
Right.
So I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I do think we're going to see Ahsoka again. We'll probably get Sabine in Mando season 3. She just makes sense as a Mandalorian. And I think they're going to lead us into Ahsoka. And then Ahsoka will probably lead us into Skeleton Crew. I do think that they're having a very MCU-esque model with the Mandoverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, we're going to get everyone who loves The Mandalorian interested in the Book of Boba Fett. And then The Mandalorian again, and then Ahsoka, and so on, so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it makes sense to start building up to Thrawn if he is indeed like the Thanos of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like the big bad that we build
it's
to.
Fine. It's fine. I don't love Thanos, so it's hard for me to compare those two.
I just mean as the ultimate villain that they're going to fight.
Sure.
Why don't you love Thanos?
I don't know. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah, I mean, he kills half the galaxy, yeah.
And he's like,
I
don't want to get into
it. Who do you want to play him?
I mean, if we can't get Pierce Brosnan to play him.
I still think that's so funny that they did that on that wall of art.
I think the only person that we both probably think should play him is Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah, that's been our hope. I mean, the voice of Thrawn is so iconic, and they nailed that in Star Wars Rebels. Mm-hmm. So I think that makes sense. I think he has the look. We've already had Mads Mikkelsen in Star Wars live action, so bring his brother in.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. I liked him in Sherlock. I've seen him in a handful of things. So,
however, I do want to say that like they could bring in someone brand new. They've been doing that a lot with these Star Wars projects, and have them audition. If they knock it out of the park, then I'm happy to see someone new.
That's perfectly plausible. I mean, I like that about Star Wars is that they tend to cast lesser known people in significant roles, and it expands my horizons. So it's possible they could just bring in someone that is unknown to us, but I would be fully on board with Lars Mikkelsen.
Shaq Fu wants to know our hopes, expectations, and predictions for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Oh boy. I hope there's a dial.
There definitely will be, Molly. It's in the title.
We didn't see it in the trailer.
I mean, there's an Ark, there's a Grail, there's a Crystal Skull in all of those movies. There was a Temple of Doom as well. So I think it's safe to say there will be a Dial of Destiny.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because we were gone when the trailer came out, and I've done a breakdown of the trailer and things I'm excited to see, but I don't know, I was going to open it up to you first. And apparently you only care about the dial.
I don't really have a lot of hopes, expectations.
This franchise does not mean nearly as much to you as it does to me, and that's okay.
It's also kind of like, you know what you're getting for an indie movie for the most part.
I think that's true.
We saw a lot of action in the trailer. The de-aging for Harrison Ford looks great. I guess my one hope is that we don't get some cheesy handoff of the hat in the very end.
Yeah. Oh, well, James Mangold has like promised on Twitter that's not happening. But I remember when that almost happened in Crystal Skull, when Mutt's like going to put the hat on. I was in the theater going, no. And he like grabs it at the last second. I was like, huh.
Yeah. I just want this to be I'm sad about it, I guess, but like I want this to be the end of Harrison Ford's journey as Indy, because quite frankly, he's old and frail, and I am worried.
He gets hurt on every movie he does now.
I mean, that's for
his own fault, because he's like, I want to do my stunts. Like, he's always done that. So then he winds up hurt.
I just want him to be able to relax and retire, and
he certainly can.
I would love a new like young Indy adventure to begin, maybe on Disney Plus or something. But I think this should be the end for him.
I think it will be.
Not that I want him to die. I don't want him to die in the movie.
No. no hopes for Indiana Jones to die. Just like to, again, for the second time, ride off into the sunset. Last Crusade was such a good ending for it, but I'm like, I don't care that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull isn't as good as the other ones. Like, I just love Indiana Jones Adventures. I do love the formula. Like you say, you kind of know what you're going to get with Indy. And that's what I want. I want a little bit of comfort food, I guess. Like, I want a fun chase for this dial and to try to get control of it. I will say I don't really want time travel in it. That's a big rumor, especially with the de-aging, that the
Bring
dial...
on the world between worlds.
Yeah. And then he gets to be in Star Wars. Okay, hold on now.
Whoa.
So I'm okay with a little bit of time travel-ish. I think that the Indiana Jones formula is we're after this artifact, and at the end, we activate it or whatever, and something crazy happens. Faces melt, heads explode, people turn to dust, hearts get pulled out of chests.
You get too much knowledge in your noggin. And
yeah, your eyes
you
explode.
go crazy.
Yeah, and then you get whisked off to the space between spaces, I think Ox said it. So as long as they save all of that weirdness for the end, I will accept a little bit of, like, we time traveled or something, because that's no weirder than anything else they've done. I just don't want it to be a Back to the Future-esque time travel movie.
Yeah. I will also say, I don't want Indy fighting anyone on the moon.
Okay.
Don't do it.
On the... Oh, because of the space race and all that? I was like, why would he?
They're gonna tape his hat on top of the space... What's it called?
The helmet?
The spacesuit helmet.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna tape it right on the top and have him fight somebody. Whip him with the
Space whip.
The space whip. Don't do it.
I don't think he's going to the moon. I don't think you need to worry about that.
I don't think he will, but that just popped into my head. I was like, oh no. Worst case scenario, we get that.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's happening. The space race will be involved. But no, I'm just looking for a good fun time and a good Indiana Jones movie, especially if it is the last one. Like, I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull the way a lot of people do. It does not live up to the other three. So it would be nice to go out on a high note, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Today's video is brought to you by Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn about filmmaking from solo director Ron Howard, improve your acting skills with Mace Windu himself, Samuel L. Jackson, or learn about business strategy from former and now current again Disney CEO Bob Iger. With over 180 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. I went through a dog training class taught by Brandon McMillan, who trained animals for the screen, but now has his own show specifically about dog training. That caught my eye because we have a dog named Hilo that you've probably seen wandering through our videos. He is the sweetest dog, but he's also big and can get anxious. Even a few short 10-minute lessons helped me understand how to communicate with him better. But like I said, there are a ton of classes to choose from, all taught by experts of the field. I highly recommend you check it out. This holiday, give the perfect gift of an annual Masterclass membership and get one free. Go to masterclass.com/Star Wars today. That's masterclass.com/Star Wars. Terms apply.
Mr. J.D. Rice asks if we hope to see a de-aged Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
No, not really.
I wouldn't mind a quick cameo, but nothing as much as what we got with Luke.
I just don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, Disney could roll a dump truck of money up to Harrison Ford's house, but I think that's what it would take. I don't know. I don't want them to rely on that technology too much. Luke is looking better and better, but it's not my favorite thing. I like having Luke in the story, but every time it happens, there's like this huge discourse around all of it.
That's what I mean. Like, if we got a real quick... Like, because what we saw in the trailer for Indy, the de-aging stuff looked really good, but that was just in the trailer. So if we get something of him as Han Solo real quick, maybe one line or two lines, I'd be okay with that. Even though we did get that with Leia at the end of Rogue One, and I hated what she looked like in that scene.
And again, like, it's looking better and better. That was 6 years ago. Yeah. So the technology's only getting better. I just don't think we should be using it all the time for any excuse.
Yeah, like you said, we don't want Star Wars to rely on drudging up the same characters over and over again with this technology. Just let's move on. Let's put some of those characters to rest. They've had enough adventures.
It's the whole Jurassic Park thing. Like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. And it is just... And they said as much in the behind-the-scenes gallery all about Luke. Like, they admitted, like, this can be really dangerous if it is used by the wrong people. And it's like, eventually it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to talk about all the time.
Yeah. And, like, this is kind of a sidestep, but just because I can see the Princess and the Scoundrel book from where we're filming right now, let's continue to explore characters like Han Solo, Luke in the books, because Shadow of the Sith, Princess and the Scoundrel were fantastic.
Shadow of the Sith was really good, yeah.
And I loved getting these little sneak peeks into their lives in these moments post, Return of the Jedi. So that, I think, is a great way to handle continuing on those stories for those characters instead of, using technology to de-age them and bring them back in.
I think it would be neat if we did something like at the big battle against Thrawn or whatever. I do think it would be weird if our big heroes weren't involved in that. So show the Millennium Falcon is there, but the show is called The Mandalorian. So like keep it focused on him. I don't need to see every major character get pulled into Mando's story. I was like adamant that I didn't want Luke in The Mandalorian season 2. I just didn't see a way for it to happen. I thought it would be a little too forced. I loved it when it happened. I do think it was a little bit just convenient and fast. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the whole thing, and I like that Mando got to be kind of its own thing, and then it slowly became less and less that. And I feel like the same thing is going to happen to Andor. Like, Andor was very much separated on Ferrix, and now he's joining the rebellion. Like, we're going to see more and more familiar characters, and I think it'll be done well. And The Mandalorian has done it pretty well.
I'm excited for the Andor stuff to kind of expand.
Yeah. And, I mean, I like what The Mandalorian has done. I like what the Book of Boba Fett did as well. But I'm just... Really, all I'm saying is I don't want them to bring in every single character just because they can. Because then it's like, if Han's there, where's Leia? Like, and that's even dicier.
Mm-hmm.
So
you wouldn't mind, though, seeing Han react to Grogu, though, right?
What do you think he would? How do you?
Short help's better than no help, something like that. Some quippy.
He might be a little rude to Grogu. You might not like it.
Well, I don't know. I think it could be something cute. And like Mando gives him a little pop on the hand with the darksaber or something.
Cuts his hand off. What if it warms Han Solo's heart and it grows 3 sizes that day? That's possible.
Framed Citizen wants to know which Star Wars character we would want to build a gingerbread house with.
I mean, Grogu comes to mind just because like you want to do something like that with someone who is going to love it.
Sure. My first thought was Nemec because he likes to build miniatures.
Oh, that's really good.
Here. I'll do it. It's fragile, that piece. The rain gets into the glue.
Nemec is really good.
So if I could cheat, I would say Nemec and Grogu. But since you're saying Grogu, I'll say Nemec.
We can swap because I know you'd rather hang out with Grogu.
Well, I like Nemec too.
I do, yeah. Nemec's a really good
answer.
answer.
If we each get to pick one, then we can all do it together.
Yeah. Well, Grogu, I do think would be a handful. I think he would try to eat the house constantly.
He would eat the whole thing.
Yeah. And maybe I'd just like to watch Nemec and Grogu build a gingerbread house together.
Yeah. Just put them in a room together.
Uh-huh.
See what happens.
And Nemec is just like going off talking about philosophy and
and there's like frosting coming out of Grogu's mouth.
Yeah.
And he's like,
But it's like just captive audience, so Nemec doesn't care. He's just word vomiting. I'd like to see that.
On to YouTube questions. Lucas C.A. Roca asks if we think Andor is at all based on the scripts from Star Wars Underworld.
I don't think so, but like the lore behind Underworld is that they wrote a lot of scripts, something like 60 hours worth of scripts for that show that never got off the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some elements taken from it. They've even said that, like the Book of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian episode specifically, kind of borrowed some things from Underworld and from Star Wars 1313. You know, things are created for Star Wars and they never just get thrown in the trash. There's always potential for them to be reused. Mm-hmm. But I think Tony Gilroy is the kind of person that came in and was like, here's the story and it's mine. I don't know that he needed access to the scripts. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe some of those, like, you know, Underworld scenes on Coruscant, design-wise, could have come from that, but I don't think the overall story came from Underworld.
I don't either. I was going to say the same thing about Tony Gilroy. He doesn't strike me as someone to borrow from scripts of another show. He probably wants to stick with his vision, but like you said, locations, the first one that comes to mind is like the very first episode of Andor when he goes to the hospitality district.
They call it a brothel.
Okay. When he goes to that area, I feel like that's something you would definitely see in something like Star Wars Underworld.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know if they did something like that. I wouldn't put it past George Lucas or the writers. Also, it sounds, I mean, there have been a lot of different things said about Underworld, but I think Lucas talked about how part of the focus was going to be on Palpatine, and, you know, we didn't get any of that, just a couple name drops in Andor. So now I see Andor as being a separate entity completely.
Cryptic Element wants to know if Cody could die in the Bad Batch, causing Rex to leave the fight.
He certainly could.
That is heavy.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing that, because I feel like if they killed Cody in an animated show like this, it would break too many hearts.
I don't know. He's not as beloved as Rex and some of the other clones. He wasn't in the Clone Wars nearly as much. But, you know, he has the name recognition from Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. I am interested in what they're doing with him, because they're showing him to be a little more conflicted. In Legends, he was like all in on the Empire, like Crosshair. But now Crosshair is taking that role. So it might be a little different. And I could see Cody being more conflicted and maybe going against the Empire, which Crosshair has already been like, that's what traitors do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I could kind of see it. I do think Rex is going to experience something pretty intense to make him stop being part of the fight and going to chill on an ATTE with Wolf and Gregor.
Yeah. I guess that's true. It seems like something that would just really shock people, especially being in an animated show. And like, animation isn't just for kids, but kids are going to be watching this. And I just know a lot of people are big fans of Cody and a lot of the other clones. So
I mean, they've killed big clones in the Clone Wars, and I feel like the Bad Batch is building off of the Clone Wars audience. And yes, it will be accessible to kids, but I feel like the Bad Batch is already at that like more mature level that later scenes of the Clone Wars got to. It didn't go all the way back to like season 1 of Star Wars Rebels to build back up. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see some clone death, like some named clone death, I should say. And it's going to be sad.
Well, it'll be your fault if we see it.
Why?
Because you just cursed the show.
It's been written for years. It's Filoni's fault. Don't you put this demon on me. As long as they keep Hauser alive. And Wrecker.
We've known Hauser for, what, a year?
That's all I needed.
Okay. Michael Caddock asks if the two stormtroopers Rey mind tricks in The Rise of Skywalker could be the same two that avoided Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens, and if they could also be Tag and Bink.
I kind of think that's funny headcanon.
Sure.
It seems like if they were going to do a sequel trilogy, Tag and Bink, like they did for the originals and the prequels, that would be really funny.
Yeah. I like the idea of the same two stormtroopers kind of like skidding their way along, just barely missing Kylo Ren's
tantrum
fit that he has, and yeah, like getting mind tricked in such a like silly way
Yeah.
in Rise of Skywalker.
We're glad you're here. It's good.
It's good. I would love to see that come back somehow and have them be Tag and Bink.
It's one of those that if they ever did it, it won't be canon. Even though Tag and Bink are technically canon-ish thanks to Solo, a Star Wars story, but like they didn't do anything and it was in a deleted scene. So I think that that's perfectly fine and fun headcanon to have.
I think it would be cool to see like a Saturday morning cartoon about Tag and Bink and have like it's going to be obviously not canon because they will continue to show up as two different stormtroopers in different eras.
Yeah.
Just like around all parts of Star Wars. I think that would be really funny.
I mean, that's kind of what the comics did, is like, you know, they were already stormtroopers in the original trilogy. Let's make them former Jedi. And like, it never really made sense. It was just goofy fun.
Yeah. Leo Valverde wants to know if we'll learn what happened to the rest of the younglings along with Gungi.
I hope so. I hope it's not just him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he could just say something about they're safe. They made it to blank planet or whatever, and they're having their own little adventure. I don't know that they'll be in the show with him.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that as a possibility. I could also see them asking like, "Are there any more of you?" And he could just like be sad, and we don't get confirmation. Like,
if we get the death of Cody and the assumed death of all the rest of the younglings but Gungi,
I don't know.
I don't know if I can handle that.
It's like, I think that now we're getting into too dark of territory for the Bad Batch. Like, I hope we see the rest of him. Or maybe he's like, I got separated and their mission will be to get him back home.
That will be... I think that's good.
I like that a lot more than like him just being sad and ambiguous about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to confirm anything that happened to them unless that is it. Like, we got to get you home and with your friends.
Yeah, that sounds more likely as an episode of the Bad Batch to do for them to have this little side quest of like, let's get Gungi back to his friends.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion and get a guaranteed written response. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.